Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Mother-in-Law Stories. Now today's video is a little bit different than the rest of these mother-in-law stories, and you'll see just why. And of course, don't forget about my new channel that focuses only on Am I the A-hole? You'll find the link in the description. So now, let's get started with that first story. I'm a mother-in-law. I think that I, myself, do everything to have a good relationship with my daughter-in-law. I buy her expensive gifts. I help them out when they need someone to babysit. I help my daughter-in-law with cooking and cleaning when I come over. However, I don't think that my daughter-in-law appreciates anything that I do. I don't believe she respects me or cares enough about my feelings. The problem started with the birth of my granddaughter. Naturally, I wanted nothing but to help her out. I wanted to give her the best advice that was coming straight from the heart. However, she never listened to anything I said. She only listened to her mother. Her mother told her to nurse the baby on demand, which turned out to be every 1.5 to 2 hours. She did that, and it compromised the sleep of the baby and resulted in a sleeping disorder that the baby had later on. But she did not care when I explained to her that the babies need schedules. They need to be fed every 4 hours and they do not need to be fed during the night. She said that she read it in a book. However, I know that it came from her mother. Her father is a doctor and he took it upon himself to write a prescription for some medicine for the baby to relieve her allergies. I offered a more natural approach that worked well for my own child. However, they completely disregarded my opinion. They went on with what her father said because he is a doctor. So what? What about my own experience? The baby was not gaining weight at all. She looked so skinny, but my daughter-in-law insisted on exclusive breastfeeding till about 6 months because her mother said so. She said that doctors were not concerned about her weight and seemed very irritated when I raised that subject. Finally, they decided to start her on solids, but they never acknowledged that I was right. They visit her parents all the time, but they rarely visit us, less than once a week. I miss this baby terribly, but I feel like I have no right to voice my opinion. The most painful thing is that my daughter-in-law does not trust me with her baby. She says she is afraid I will feed her something that she is allergic to, like I want to harm my own granddaughter. When I confront my son, he says that my daughter-in-law is very jealous and I need to give her some time. He always makes promises to bring the baby to our place over the weekends, but he rarely keeps those promises. I started potty training my own baby when he was 5 months old, and he was completely trained by 11 months. When I tell my daughter-in-law to start potty training her 9-month baby, she walks away like what I said is completely stupid. My daughter-in-law always walks away when I say something that she and her mother do not believe in. I am not a doctor, but I raised my son, and when I was young and inexperienced, I turned to my mother for advice. I was divorced, so I did not have any help from my own mother-in-law. I could not apply her own life experience. However, my daughter-in-law has that advantage. Why can't she use my life experience? I am much more experienced with the babies than she is. I feel like she denies my rights with the baby. I feel like the baby will grow up not knowing her other grandmother. That is what she wishes for. She does not want me to have anything to do with her baby. But this is not happening. I have the same rights as other grandparents do, and I am going to use those rights to have contact with my granddaughter. There is no way I am going to let her take her away from me. When she grows up, I want my granddaughter to love me as much as I love her. All I want is to be involved in my grandchild's life as much as possible. What is wrong with that? I want the best for my children, and I strongly believe that I treat my daughter-in-law as I would my own daughter. Wow, OP. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is I think you're missing every single point every daughter-in-law has ever made about nosy mother-in-laws. It's like you're literally trying to defend the stereotype of a bad mother-in-law, nosy up, that just gives unsolicited opinions and tries to impose her way. Sorry, but not sorry. Your daughter-in-law is being a mother. You are a grandmother. You have no right to impose your opinion, your will, or your experience. The fact that you had a baby and it didn't die and it grew up to be an adult does not make you an expert in all babies at all. So if you do want to be involved in their lives and you want to have time with your granddaughter, the first thing you need to do is let up. Stop giving your opinion if you're not being asked and just be there to help. Offer your help, not your opinion. That's it. And okay, sorry about that long rant, and now we move on to the next story. Dear husband and I have been married for 6 years. We're both 35 when we married, never married, no kids for either, and had fully discussed beforehand that we wanted 2 or 3 years alone together before kids. We also knew that fertility after age 35 is sometimes an issue, but we married knowing we could be happy with or without kids. No big deal. Well, we tried to conceive for a year and stopped trying. We changed our focus to early retirement, big time travel, nicer gifts for each other, etc, etc. We believe that God's will for us was to have more time, attention, etc. for each other. Perhaps an A+ marriage without children versus a B or C marriage with children. This, I think, has made mother-in-law jealous because we have a better marriage than she has ever had out of her 2 so far. Her whole identity is mother and grandmother alone, and not wife at all. She has little or no respect for marriage. She bashes husbands and fathers in general, not specific ones, in order to build up mothers. I was raised to believe that one should put their relationship with God first, the spouse next, and the children after that, and so on. For her, it is one's children and grandchildren first, her definition of family, then one's parents and siblings, etc. No mention ever of a spouse. So obviously, her world revolves around her other children and my dear husband. But his world doesn't revolve around her. She is 65 years old and just learning that a dear husband and dear wife can actually revolve their world around each other. Imagine that! Surprise, surprise! There's also taller, thinner, blonder syndrome at work here. I am better educated, CPA, much thinner, prettier, personable, worldly, etc. And get this, she's even spiritually jealous of me. I'm a Catholic, very active, but I never have forced religion down anyone's throat, and never would. My dear husband admires my faith, but mother-in-law is a woman of little to no faith at all, so she insults churchgoers as hypocrites, etc. She insults my university, and she is a high school dropout. She even insults places we go on vacation. Why would anyone go to Scotland when there's Hawaii? Here's my most recent story. A neighbor of ours saw mother-in-law at the grocery store. Mother-in-law told the neighbor that dear husband and I are devastated about not being able to have children. My neighbor said, "Gee, they're one of the happiest couples I've ever known. I always thought it was probably because they don't have the hassle and expenses of children." Well, mother-in-law said to my child-free, single-by-choice neighbor, "But what kind of a life can anybody have without kids?" My neighbor said, "A damn good one." So she has gone beyond her subtle insults towards me and now tells lies all over town like they're devastated about not having children. I've begun talking about how much an accidental pregnancy would really mess up our early retirement travel plans. By the way, my husband is very naive. He is sometimes insulted to his face and can't see it. But other times, like conversations about the churchgoers stuff, he gets really offended and will take action next time it happens. He said that he is willing to move us to the far side of the earth if need be, but he hopes it won't come to that. If he has a talk with her, it won't do anything but cause more trouble. She is a known liar and will blame me or him for being too sensitive or some other various BS. I ask myself sometimes, Do mother-in-laws ever change even if you outsmart them, prove them as liars, or even try kindness towards them? I've seen this gradually happen over a 6-year period, so will it get worse even still? A type of situation where you are clearly and obviously the class act and the mother-in-law is the subtle aggressor? Okay guys, is it just me or did this post also rub you the wrong way? Now, I may be super wrong here, so go ahead and correct me in the comment section. But I get the feeling that OP did really want to be a mother and life just didn't have it in the cards for her. So now she's trying to hype up this childless life where she gets to buy more expensive gifts, gets to travel and enjoy time and make her universe revolve around her husband and her husband make his universe revolve around her. But how does the mother-in-law fit in all this mess and why does OP hate her so much? Well, the mother-in-law, like she says in her post, made her whole world around children and grandchildren. And this is something OP will not get the chance to experience because they decided not to have kids or not to pursue kids anymore. And maybe in some level OP resents her mother-in-law for this and so she is a clear enemy in her life, right? And we get this post where OP is the class act, OP is the educated one. And the mother-in-law is the aggressor. The mother-in-law didn't even graduate high school and so on and so forth. Am I too off? Did I not read that right? Let me know in the comment section. Alright, and now let's move on to the final story. My mother-in-law is really beginning to irritate me after 3 years of petty garbage. I don't deal with passive-aggressive people. I ignore them. You can either tell me what's on your mind or shut up and leave me alone. Well, guess what she is? Some backstory. My dear husband and I were friends in the beginning. He was dating a friend, not anymore, of mine. We'll call her Linda. I believe Linda is in the Navy in a low-level job, marking her time so she can get college money. Linda loved my now mother-in-law and mother-in-law loved her back. For 3 years, I've had to hear about how wonderful Linda is. By the way, Linda is the person who, after they got engaged, was sleeping around with his former best friend. She lied to him about it and let him find out from me because she told me, but she wouldn't tell him. Linda had asked me what she should do. I told her to tell dear husband the truth. She refused, saying that she loved his mom too much to do that. Well, I heard about how great she was, how terrific she was, and how goal-oriented she was. Last I heard, she was somewhere in the Pacific Fleet and they were being moved out. I was also told how Linda didn't spend any of dear husband's money selfishly on her, how she didn't already have kids when they got together, unlike me who was divorced with 1 child, and that she hadn't been married. She was just perfect. I got tired of it after 2 years and told her exactly what kind of person Linda was, and how she was lucky her son hadn't married this wench. Well, that shut her up to me. But she told her daughters that I was a horrible person. Both of them called dear husband to get the story. Thank God they are level-headed and wanted to know what the truth was before they did what she wanted them to do, which was to raise hell. Well, now she hasn't acknowledged our birthdays around here, but she wanted to make sure we were going to dance attendance on Christmas. Well, my parents are coming in for Christmas this year, driving about 3,000 miles to be here with us, and I put my foot down. I told dear husband that I'd spent 3 miserable Christmases with this woman and that this year we were spending time with my family, who don't treat him like a second-class citizen unlike his mother does with me. Surprisingly, he supported me for a change. She's good at manipulation. He told her that, first of all, she had no right to act like my daughter wasn't a member of her family, since, when dear husband and his sisters were little, mother-in-law divorced their father and married my father-in-law a year later. Their biological father is now dead. Father-in-law's family acknowledged that A, her kids existed, and that B, these were the only grandchildren they were getting since she wasn't having more children, and neither their daughter nor their other son was reproducing. They never did. Well, she cried and said that she had always thought of my daughter as her grandchild and that all this had to come from me. Dear husband told her no, and that he was tired of it. Dear husband also told her that we would not be spending this Christmas with her since my family was coming in. And since they were driving, they were probably arriving right around the 24th or 25th, and we wanted to actually get to spend a holiday with them. Mother-in-law pitched a fit and said that my parents didn't have any consideration for her feelings about the holidays and they were spending them with her family. And then she pulled something really amazing. She said that I could have Christmas with my family and my daughter, and dear husband could come and spend Christmas with her and her family. This implies several things. I'm capable of reading between the lines. One of them being that my family isn't good enough for her and that my daughter and I aren't part of her family. Thankfully, dear husband told her absolutely not. We are a family and we will spend Christmas together. And if she doesn't want me and dear daughter around, she can't have him either. She's always been like this. My brothers-in-law agree that she is unpleasant when they want to spend one of the 2 days involved, either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, with their spouse's family, and she pulls the same garbage with them. So either I need to let dear husband handle her, not hard, she never calls me no matter how much I reach out to her, or I just take a shot of tequila and fudge about it. Either one works for me. Well, OP, it seems like you can do both. You can let your husband handle his mother like he's doing, and he's doing a great job at it. And on the side, you can take a shot of tequila and fudge about it. And that story lets us wrap this video up on a high note since OP's husband has a spine and confronted his mother. Good on you, OP. And so we reached the end of the video. I truly hope you liked it. If you did, go ahead and click like and subscribe. And also don't forget about the new channel, Lost Genre Am I the A-Hole Daily, and the Lost Genre subreddit for you to share stories. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.